What's going on, guys? This is Drafted, formerly Moni LOL. I'm going to talk to you today about Warriors and the upcoming patch and kind of, the changes it's going to have on playing a Warrior. As, what they're doing is they're taking away a little bit of the CC that we can do, which, I agree with. And they're going to give us kind of a little bit more sustainability as far as damage goes because of the buff to slam and with the change to the defensive stance, we're not going to be able to rely, solely on just going defensive, not dying, and waiting for our cooldowns to go back after somebody. Which I agree is that's a little overpowered. So they're going to be tuning us down. But with the change, it's going to force people to play Warriors a little bit differently than they're used to because traditionally, since this expansion, it's just been charge, shockwave, pop cooldowns, and kill something. And now you're going to be forced to play a little bit more diversely. But what I want to talk to you about is playing Warrior now as opposed to, what it used to be like in Kata. Well, now we have a lot more utility than we used to. For example, like with Banner and being able to use it to intervene. We just have so much more ability that we can use, and not a lot of Warriors do that. So, what I'm hoping to do is kind of give you a little bit of insight as to what I do personally and what helps me, in BGs and stuff like that to get around and be able to stay on target as long as possible because, of course, we don't have a way to really get out of, a CC except for Trinket and, if you have an intervene macro, which I highly recommend, or for Safeguard, I should say. But anyway, a lot of Warriors, what I'm seeing lately is that it seems like everybody just wants to go on pop cooldowns and, try to kill something before they die. But a Warrior has so much more utility than that, and it just kind of it surprises me at the lack of use that they have of their abilities. Like, they have so much that they can do and they just never do it. And it just kind of surprises me. So what I would like to do is kind of, give you a little bit of tips that I, that I do personally in BGs and stuff like that to help, maybe benefit you in your next BG when you're by yourself. So first of all, you've got to have macros in all of your defensives and all of your mobility. For example, what I mean is, you don't really need a macro for Heroic Leap, but for example, like what I was telling you about with the Intervene macro is if you throw down your banner and you're rooted by something, say like a mage slow or a mage snare or a hunter snare, their web or whatever it may be. Well, when you throw this down, you can intervene to it, and what that does is it helps you break out of it. And if you have a macro for them and you can set them up, I'll show you the one that I have for my Safeguard macro. All it does is it'll target, the person that you want, or you can have it set to where it'll target your banner, and it'll immediately, without you having to actually click it, it'll help you just immediately throw down your wherever you put it, and you'll immediately, intervene to the banner, and it'll help you break out of CC, and you can stay on your target more. Now, doing this is really situational because there's going to be a lot of times when, charge is going to be on cooldown. For, like with me, I expect him a Warbringer, so I get the stun. So I don't have the mobility that other Warriors do. I kind of gave up that mobility for, the extra CC. And, of course, that's going to be changing in the patch. But as for now, what it does is it gives you, the stun, and you can stay on, you can do a little bit of damage. But if you have, for example, like Juggernaut or Double Time, you're going to get more charges off than I would. So you got to be situational when you drop your banner. Now, another thing that I see a lot of Warriors using kind of out of place is Die by the Sword. Or I should say lack of using. Because, if you look at it, it does increase parry. So say a melee is on you, like another Warrior, you're going toe-to-toe with another Warrior or a Rogue even, it's going to help you significantly. But if you're going against a caster and you just cannot get on them, or you're being CC'd a lot and you're kind of waiting for your cooldowns to come back up, pop Die by the Sword. And the reason is because it offers you an additional 20% damage reduction. So by doing that, you're gonna help your second wind keep you up while you wait for the ability, to get back on your target. So, it's a really situational thing, and I'm not going to say use it every time it's up when you're getting focused because, again, it's kind of hard to say, but you gotta use it whenever you think it's appropriate. If like I'm about to get hit with a shatter combo, if I can pop it before, if I don't have shield wall up or something like that, and I'm about to get hit with a shatter, I'm going to pop die by the sword so I can at least reduce that damage, in any way, shape, or form, because that's a lot of damage to take, or a chaos bolt. But, it kind of depends on what you feel is doing the most to you. I mean, obviously I'll do it like when a hunter sends his damn zoo on me, but it's just me, and it's kind of a pain to just take that beating from a hunter. And another situation that you would need to use die by the sword is, of course, against like a DK or something like a frost DK, because they do an insane amount of damage. But whenever the problem with the DK is, whenever they get on a warrior, say they're going one-on-one with a warrior, and I know it's not balanced around 1v1, but tell that to mages who are not balanced around anything. So if you're going against a DK and they're popping everything on you, pop die by the sword and then just immediately go aggressive, because it's just going to be a DPS race. Because if the DK gets you low first, he's going to be able to pop his execute ability, and you're going to die. So you don't have the luxury of sitting there. I mean, you can try to survive it, but it's kind of hit or miss because of how much they can crit for. So you just need to basically out DPS them, and luckily they don't have any defensives to stop a warrior. So if if there's no casters around, it's just you and a DK, feel free to just go all out on them, because unfortunately for them, they can't stop us. Now, another really important defensive that a lot of warriors just overlook, I do not see a lot of them popping Spell Reflect, and it's a lot of key abilities that can help you, that you can stop or reflect back, or just help you, survive longer to escape. And the situation where that's going to be most beneficial to you is a CC, because there's not a lot of cases where a mage or something like that's going to burst through your shield wall and everything just to kill you. So you gotta think, do I want to get away, or do I want to go back on them? So if you're playing aggressive, you get feared off, you get sheeped, whatever it may be. You see them casting something. Wait for the bar to get as close as possible. Now, you got to account for server lag and things like that, so it's going to be something you got to play with a little bit. But you need to wait until it's almost to the end of the cast bar, because if you wait too late, even though you pop Spell Reflect, the ability was already cast. And I don't know if they've changed it. It seems like they have, but even mid-flight, if you pop it beforehand, it's still going to hit you. So you got to do it at the last second, and you got to account for server lag, you lagging, whatever it might be. There's a lot of circumstances where it could be a problem. It generally doesn't seem to be that way in Arena, but I don't know, it's kind of something you got to get used to. You got to get used to the timing, because a warrior is a lot of timing, and you can't just hit everything at the same time and expect to kill it anymore. We're not going to have that luxury, especially with the change to Avatar, and with the change to Shockwave, we're not going to have that 20-second stun unless you hit a group, which it's possible. I mean, especially in BGs, it's not going to be that big of a change, but that's something you got to prepare for. Now, Spell Reflect is it's so useful because of you can turn the tide of a fight with one Spell Reflect. Like if you go one-on-one with a mage and you don't reflect any key ability, say like a free crit Ice Lance, or even a deep freeze, whatever it may be. If you can force a mage to deep freeze themselves and blink out of it, because I mean, again, a good mage will probably trinket that, or they'll just wait it out, because if you're in a route and you can't get to them, then they don't have to worry about wasting a blink or anything like that. But if you catch one that will waste their blink on getting out of their own deep freeze, then when you charge on them, you're going to have more uptime. So again, it's going to be a situational thing. I'm sorry, I can't help this area. It's just so many lowbies to kill, and I can't stop myself. It's it's addicting. Anyway, if you have that ability, then do it. You gotta practice with the timing, because if you have the ability to put 5 seconds of solid damage on a mage, that's going to turn the tide of a fight. That's going to be a lot in your favor. And one of the big things you have to look out for, and I say mages a lot because they're kind of the bane of warriors, and they can pop everything and just go all out on a warrior. And there's not a lot you can do if you sit there and take it all. But if, for example, you get caught in deep freeze, you don't Spell Reflect it, and the damage is coming onto you, and they pop Frozen Orb, one of the things you need to do is you need to get out of the way of Frozen Orb, because it's giving them free procs to hit you with free Ice Lances. And those Ice Lances can crit for upwards of 80,000. Sometimes I've been hit for over 100,000. I mean, especially if they have like a Zerker buff or something like that. And the way that you do that is, if you're in a route and it's not a deep freeze. You know, one of the things you really want to focus on is getting away from it. You know, you want to buy yourself some time to kind of figure out how you're going to engage the mage. So say you put it, you're getting focused, you're in a route, and he pops up. Well, intervene your banner and then jump away, and that's going to give you a good 30 to 50 yards on the mage, depending on which way you go, and it's going to buy you a little bit more time, like I said, to to focus on how you're going to engage them, if you want to engage them, if you want to wait for backup. You know, it just kind of depends on the situation, and it's up to you how you do it. But always remember that mage can catch you. So if you don't have a way to get away, don't sit there and waste time trying to run. You know, if you're going to engage, just do it. But also, okay, take into account timing, because, you know, you got to know the basic mage rotation. They're going to snare you, they're going to deep freeze you, they're going to wind up probably a frostbolt or just spam ice stance. Frozen orb, all of the easy instant cooldowns that we all know and hate about a mage, but it is what it is, and you've got to learn to adapt to it. So, you know, again, with a warrior, a mage, you have to outplay them significantly to even stand a chance, let alone to beat one. So, one of the things I would like, you know, my main message against playing a warrior against any caster class is timing your cooldowns, especially your defensives, because naturally you're going to put out a lot of damage, and you don't have to even worry about cooldowns, just because, you know, for example, you can just proc things. Like, you're going to proc Colossus Smash, you're going to proc your Mortal Strike and your Taste for Blood. You have a lot of sustained damage that you don't have to really worry about even being there on cooldown. The thing you have to worry about is you've got to be able to control your defensives, because that's going to be what wins fights. Warriors are naturally just big damage dealers, and it's kind of the luck of the draw that we get that. But at the downside, you know, to being a warrior and being melee, is it's easy to tunnel us, it's easy to control us, and it's kind of the opposite for casters. It's really difficult to control a mage, and I think anybody who's done any form of competitive arena knows that, just because of, you know, everything that you give it. But, you know, again, this is just, you know, a basic tutorial of things that I want you to consider, and I want, you know, you guys to play around with whenever it comes to playing against a caster, because, again, the main problem for us right now is just, you know, all the casters. You know, warlocks hitting for 150,000 chaos bolts. It's, you know, it sucks, but it's even more rewarding when you hit one with their own chaos bolt for 150,000, which I've had happen a few times, especially in Temple. And one of the things I'm curious about is the changes to rogues, you know, especially with, or the changes to even monks, because they're going to be able to put out a lot more pressure and not worry so much about, you know, having to fight you at half health. Even now, a good rogue can take me to 50% before I even get a chance to fight back. So it's kind of like it's pre-kata status, or even kata status. And, you know, you got to worry about how you're going to deal with that. So, again, remember, it's all about timing. And if you have macros, and if you guys would like, I can give you some of the macros that I have, or I can make a short video just describing the macros and what the benefit of having them is. And it's going to help you in a lot of ways, especially with controlling, you know, the battlefield, because a warrior has high mobility if you use it to its utmost utility. But at the same time, if you overextend as a warrior and you get caught in the middle of a fight, you don't have a lot of ways to really get out. So, you know, you gotta, it's really situational, and you gotta think about how you want to do this. But again, like I said, if, you know, I'll make sure that I put up a video with my macros, because a lot of it is targeting and a lot of it is with defensives. As far as my offensive abilities, it's just a lot of the basics. You know, I put a start attack in each of my abilities just to help me generate the additional rage that I want. And it's more of a kind of giving me the more uptime that I like, because I prefer to be a little bit, I don't want to have the risk of being rage starved, which it can happen. I mean, if you're not if you're getting CC'd, but there's a lot of situations where if you go defensive, you're not generating as much rage, but at the same time, you're not taking as much damage, so it's a trade-off. But personally, for my playstyle, I don't go defensive a lot, just because if I can control an ability, or I can stop an ability that would kill me, or even, you know, could CC me for an extended period of time, there's no need. But, you know, again, like I said, I'll focus on, or I'll make sure I get around to making you a video with the macros, because it is really important for a warrior to have as many of those as you can. But as you can see, I don't have a lot of, you know, space taken up. All the stuff on the side is just a bunch of random crap that I do, like my spit, because spit is your PvP taunt macro. So if you guys don't have one and you love to PvP, do it. And it's kind of like a way of getting somebody to focus you out of everything, because nobody likes to be spit on. It's really degrading even in the game, and it's going to piss you off. But having said that, I hope you guys liked the video, and it helped you out just a little bit. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.